Welcome, everyone. Andy and Jim, we're going to break down UFC Hot Atlanta. Jim said I got to say Atlanta a little bit better. We'll go Hot Atlanta.
That was really good. That was really
good. Buckley and Usman are fighting, so we're going to break down all the fights. We're still running our special for 30 days for $99 for all MMA plays. More on that in just a second. Let's get started. Hit the like button. Come on, guys. Hit the like button. Give us some likes. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that now. You get notified when all of our breakdown videos come out. PFL and UFC the next few weeks. So we got a busy MMA schedule for the month of June. Very, very excited. Let's get started with the first fight, Vanessa Demopoulos and Jamey Lynn Horth. A lot of money has come in on Jamey Lynn Horth. I get it. What's your breakdown on this one?
I agree with the money. Vanessa has looked extremely bad. She's looked checked out. She's looked discouraged in the cage. And these are all above the neck issues. This has nothing to do with skill set. And if we can't get our head in the game, we can't trust a fighter to make the right decisions over a 15-minute fight. Jamey Lynn Horth does not have a giant skill set, but she is going to be stronger. She's going to be more physical. And I believe that Jamey Lynn Horth has more fight in her than Vanessa does at this point in her career. So I like Jamey Lynn Horth. I think she's parlayable. I don't think this is one of those Vanessa Demopoulos steals a decision fights. I like Jamey Lynn Horth over Vanessa. I think she is nearing the end of her run in the UFC.
Yeah, loses to Miranda Maverick in a fight that was fairly close. Miranda did a really good job in round 3 to get that one. You already know my worries about it. Split over Petrovic. I don't know why we got Petrovic that was very competitive against Horth and then got dog walked by Juliana Miller. It makes no sense. That's, I guess, a little bit of a concern. But if we're looking stylistically, Horth is going to be stronger. And Demopoulos accepts position on the back and doesn't do a whole lot to get out of it. She got a little spoiled by this Murata fight to Cody. Those wins, it was like, well, I was active on the bottom. And it was like, you were on the bottom the whole time. What are you talking about? You were dominated. Then she gets submitted by Morum in the, grab my glove gate. But the fact is, you're right. She gave up in that one. She's screaming at the ref while the fight's going on, then gets in an arm bar. And I think it really spilled over to the next one. I agree with your assessment. I think we got the stronger fighter. I think we got the one with the better skill set in the wrestling and grappling, and I think we got the one that's in a little bit of a better headspace. So I agree Jamey Lynn Horth is the play, even though I'm not that high on Jamey Lynn Horth, but sometimes the matchup just dictates it. So I'm with you on that one. Phil Rowe and Ange Loosa. I do not have a strong opinion on this fight. What do you think?
Full disclosure, I will not have any money on this fight whatsoever.
Oh,
Both
good.
of these
Quick
guys
one.
are extremely untrustworthy. I think this is a live bet spot. This is a fight where in the second round, you could hear the announcers talking like it's 2-0, and you're watching it saying there's no way this is 2-0. And if the books agree with the 2-0 and you think it's 1-1, that's where your live bet spot is. Phil Rowe always does something to lose a fight.
Yes.
That's really all it comes down to. He finds ways not to win fights, but lose fights. Ange Loosa, does he want to fight? Does he want to fight after his opponent gets disqualified? When does he want to fight? I would suggest that you start fighting at the beginning of the fight instead of at the end when the fight is over. That would be my corner advice for him going forward. So, yeah, I'm just not high on either guy. Like we said, it's a big month for MMA. We always want to have bets and plays for you guys, but protect that bankroll. There are plenty of spots on the horizon. I will not have a play in this fight.
I mean, if we're just playing a little bit of the numbers here, Phil Rowe loses every decision. Loses decision to Matthews. Loses a split to Magny. Finishes Price. Finishes Witt. Loses to Gabe Green. Finishes Gakowski. If it goes to decision, Phil Rowe is in trouble. Like you said, he's one of those guys that just seems to make the dumb decision that ends up costing him a crucial round. And, so I don't even have an opinion on the total because Phil Rowe can finish guys and then it goes a distance and he loses. So I agree. No money of mine will be wagered on this fight. My money will be wagered on this fight. Ricky Simone gets Cameron Smotherman. Shout out to Cameron Smotherman for taking it short notice, but This might be one of the worst stylistic matchups for Cameron Smotherman, a guy that got taken down a lot in his last fight, and he was a big disappointment. You just cannot get beat that one-sided by Zero City, who's not known as a wrestler, grappler, takedown guy. We all thought Smotherman looked good against Hadley, and we were proven wrong. So Ricky Simone was scheduled to fight Charles Jourdain. I think you and I both agreed he looked, I would say 99.9%, he was hurt in this Vinicius Oliveira fight. Didn't look like himself. Boy, he looked like himself against Basharat. I know it's kind of an early knockout, but he looked back to his normal self. He looked back to the aggressive Ricky Simone. I think if Ricky Simone wants to get the wrestling going, which he should, I think he makes short work of Cameron Smotherman. When I say short work, I don't know if he gets the finish, but if this goes the distance, this is a 30-27, maybe even 30-26 for Simone. I just don't see the path for Cameron Smotherman unless Ricky Simone decides he wants to go out there and fiddle F around. So, I got Simone pretty confidently. What about you?
I have him confident too, and I think he's actually live for the finish in this spot. I think the wrestling gap is going to be massive. When you look at Simone's losses, it's a who's who. I mean, the guy has been fighting the top level his entire career in the UFC, and like you said, losing the way that Smotherman did against City is a bad look. Look at these losses. Vinicius Oliveira, who's looking better and better.
Oh my gosh.
Mario Batista, who we just saw, right? Do away with Patchy Mix. Yadong Song, a title challenger in the near future here. So these losses are just aging like a fine wine for Ricky Simone. And if he comes in healthy, he should just railroad Cameron Smotherman. If this hits the mat, you're not going to see Cameron being able to work his way back up. It's going to be one-way traffic with Ricky Simone on top.
And the great thing when you're betting on Simone is that even if he doesn't get the takedown or if Smotherman happens to get up, it's just chain wrestling all over and over, rinse and repeat from Ricky Simone. All right, we got Ricky Simone is pretty confident, good parlay piece in that one. Cody Durden and Jose Ochoa. Durden's the favorite. Who do you like in this one? Or I'm sorry, Durden's the underdog.
Durden's the underdog. Ochoa, this is one of our angles that we've been talking about, is these guys that come in and they have a fight and they maybe don't win, but they look okay, and it's like, oh, well, this guy should be competitive against and then they look horrible. Like, they look horrible after. So I'm not ready with Jose Ochoa yet. I'm just not. Cody Durden has supposedly, now that he's 17-7-1, fully committed and bought in. He's now an American Top Team, living in the dorms down there, away from his family. I get it, but you're 17-7. Why is now the time? Because your back is against the wall, because you're 34 years old in a division where, 34 is pretty old.
Yeah.
This isn't heavyweight. 34 is rough. So I don't know what to make of either of these guys in the spot. And honestly, I can't even get anywhere on a total because we've seen Cody Durden be able to be finished. We've seen him get finishes, but we've also seen him just have nothing and just cruise to decisions. So I'm having a hard time getting somewhere in this fight. I think we'll know very quickly in this fight what's going to happen. If it's instant that Cody Durden is a dog on a bone, and he is on that ankle, and he is getting those takedowns, and he's implementing his game, we should be able to watch the gas tank of Ochoa and see if it's going to hold up. The second that I don't see Cody Durden be able to get this fight to the ground, it is a live bet on Ochoa, because Cody Durden's striking is bad. I do not believe it is UFC level. So this fight is contingent on the wrestling and which space it's going to be fought in. So I will watch this live, and then I will pick my bet from there. If I'm going pre-fight, I lean Ochoa, but I'm not willing to put my money on it.
Yeah, Ochoa had good moments against Kavanaugh, and what do we always say? Well, being tough isn't a recipe for victory. But he was tough. He was durable, and Kavanaugh, appears to be the real deal. So, he takes that fight, as his UFC debut. That's a hell of a UFC debut in that one. I can't really get to I'm with you. I can't get to the window on anything like before the fight happens. I want to see what Durden looks like because I've seen him fall apart. I watched him kind of gas out against Bruno Silva. We see how hittable Bruno Silva is. And Durden couldn't take advantage of that. Loses, but he really got beat up against Josh Van. So it's a weird schedule for him because at the time Bruno Silva was pretty decent. And then he fights the corpse of Matt Schnell and gets the win. And then he fights Josh Van, who looks like a title contender in the near future. Fights Olin Beckhoff, and but before that Hadley, Johnson, Moda. So he's kind of a tough one to figure out. I think you're right. This may be my favorite live bet opportunity because I think round one is just going to tell us the entire story. If Durden gets wrestling going and doesn't look tired at the end of round one, I think Durden kind of runs away with it. But like you said, if he can't get it going and it's a striking match, there's a lot of guys that are going to win striking matches against Cody Durden. So, I guess I just wonder why the UFC makes these fights when you have a minus 2,000. I don't even think we have a minus 2,000 in PFL.
No, I think it got bought back down.
So we have Malcolm Wellmaker against Kris Moutinho making his triumphant return. Kris Moutinho, he won 5 fights, in a row on the regional scene. He still has no striking defense. He didn't work on it. I guess he didn't have to against some of these guys. I know they have good records, but no, this is Wellmaker by KO. I know Moutinho showed a lot against O'Malley, and I think that's what people are going to hang their hat on. No, Wellmaker's just an athletic freak, man. He's so good. He's so athletic. His knockout against Simon was so incredible, and I just think he's athletic enough to stay away from any offense that Kris Moutinho has. It's Wellmaker by finish. I know that you don't tune in to have me tell you that Malcolm Wellmaker should finish Kris Moutinho, but I'm also not going to make a case for Kris Moutinho to win this one. I just don't say. The case for Moutinho is the odds are so laughable that this is a UFC, but that's the only case. But stylistic, I just don't see it. What about you?
Well, I'm going to poke some giant holes in the case for Kris Moutinho because I've heard some arguments for Kris Moutinho.
Okay.
Sean O'Malley.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Sean O'Malley is not a one-punch knockout artist, guys. He's just not. We'll watch that viral knockout of Matt. Was it Matt? Who's he knock out with the mustache? That you love every time?
They show the Eddie Wineland one
Eddie
over
Wineland,
and over.
thank you.
And then they show when he's on Contender Series.
Right.
He knocked out a guy that was standing like this. It didn't move. And
like it was the
Dana
1930s.
go, oh my God. Welcome to the Sugar Show. Like, what, are you serious? I'm with you.
Other than that, he doesn't have knockout power. And what they don't show with the Eddie Wineland knockout is Eddie was rocked before that punch. It wasn't like he was a fresh fighter. He was getting the hell beat out of him, and then Sean just clipped him. But other than that, Sean's not a one-punch knockout artist. Malcolm Wellmaker is a one-punch knockout artist. He needs one. That's all he needs. So to say that Kris is tough, it could go. Kris is going to get flattened by Malcolm Wellmaker. He's going to rely on his toughness. He's got no striking defense. I think you got to have a taste of Malcolm Wellmaker by finish somehow. It's just, to me, it's a free square this week. They're teeing him up, and Kris is not ready for the shot that is going to hit him. And this could be a viral knockout that we will see for many, many years to come.
Yeah, one of those where, like, in 8 years, they're still showing it for Malcolm Wellmaker, like highlights, like they do all the other guys. It's so funny. So we're going to get to Michael Chiesa versus Court McGee in a second. At the end, we're going to do our Parlay Buster and our Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda. Leave a comment, guys. Tell us who you like. I love this card. We did good on the last card, 2-2 for client plays, but we hit the big 5% play. Had a really nice live bet on the first fight of the night, so very profitable night. Leave us a comment. Tell us who you like. I'm interested. I thought last week the picks were pretty obvious. This one I could see some interesting ones. I know we're going to get the inevitable Mr. Bubbles putting the Paul Craig by submission in the comment section. I just can't wait for it. And you know who the real MVP of last week was, Jim? I got to give a shout out to Rusty. Rusty put in the comments, Josh Van is not going to knock out Bruno Silva. And then Josh Van knocked out Bruno Silva. And Rusty says, well, it was a close fight. We were both right.
At least he came back. That was my
loved it, Rusty.
That was my challenge to you, Rusty, don't go
Has
deleting those comments after.
Bro, we can hang out anytime.
So,
Rusty is my MVP. We were both
You're one of
right.
us, Rusty.
I
You're
love
one of
it.
us.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome anytime. Anytime. So, we mentioned our special, calling it the MMA Money Machine, $99, which I still think is laughable, gets you 30 days of MMA plays. Again, it's a PFL month pretty much. We have a few weeks of PFL and UFC. So really, this special was designed $99 for 30 days just for UFC, but now you get PFL. We're the only ones at Wager Talk that handicap PFL, and that PFL breakdown video is up if you want to go look at it. It's probably over. By the time you're watching this, PFL is probably over, so you can comment whether we did good or bad on the breakdown. But really, if we're being serious, guys, this is the sport that's been one of our it's been the best sport that we've had this year. Plus 32 units. Very, very proud of that. It's the best start to the year that we've ever had. We're number one at Wager Talk. So dog days of summer, NHL, NBA winding down. This is how you build bankrolls. This is how we build bankrolls. This is what we're focusing on for the next month. So join us. These are where the profits are at. So we like to lean into what's working for us, and we pull back on what's not working for us. We are leaning in heavy to MMA because that's where the profits have been for us, and that's where we see that they're going to be for the foreseeable future. So you do not need a promo code. That's on my page at wagertalkwt.buzz/AL. If you have any comments, just leave it in the comment section, and I'll be happy to help. Okay. Michael Chiesa and Court McGee. A couple of wily veterans. How do you see this fight going down?
The booking of Michael Chiesa has been really good. And I don't know if that's the UFC doing him favors. I also don't know if that's Michael picking his shots. Like, we don't know how many times he said no. We haven't. Oh, wait. Sorry. I got sidetracked. I looked at Kevin Holland, Darce choke, and I just had a flashback. Sorry.
Yeah. It is interesting that he goes from Sean Brady and Kevin Holland to Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, and it's smart. Like, you get away from those guys, right? You're in your 40s here. It's been very selective. But what I've loved about it is Michael Chiesa is no longer trying to evolve as a fighter. He's leaning into what he's good at, which is wrestling and grappling, which he should have done the whole time. Stop trying to be a striker. You're just not. So in his older age here, it's just, you know what you're going to get from him, and I love it. I'm here for it, man, because he's a fantastic grappler. He's got some of the best control in the UFC. Once he takes your back, it's very, very hard to get him off of it. He has that one hole where, he can get submitted, but I don't think that's Court McGee. Court McGee's not going to slap on a submission here and choke out Chiesa. And honestly, Court's been fighting the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been going well. He gets the win against Tim Means, but we find out that that's Tim Means' retirement fight after. You brought up a great point about Court McGee. Is this Court McGee's last fight? We don't know. Very well could be. I mean, a lot of miles on that body, a lot of cage time. I like Chiesa, man. I like Chiesa. I think this is a great booking. If this was management doing it, kudos to them. That's taking care of your fighter.
Yeah, I mean, Court McGee, you go back to 2022. Okay, he still had some gas in the tank, but going into that Jeremiah Wells, I think that was where, he had never been knocked out, and then he gets knocked out twice in a row. Mm-hmm. And then this fight against Alex Morono was a truly terrible fight. It was bad. Alex Morono looked absolutely atrocious in that, and somehow Court McGee lost to him. And then, Tim Means, 40-plus-year-old, turns out it's, Tim Means' retirement fight. And that was what I brought up. I was like, okay, Tim Means and Court McGee do the damn thing for Tim Means' retirement. I wonder if Court said, give me another older veteran for my last fight. So I just don't think Court's got much left. He's going to be okay in the striking, but like you said, I was just really, really impressed by Chiesa getting the third round finish against Max Griffin. Like, cardio was still there. Grappling was still there. Wrestling was still there. Submissions was still there. So if he can do that to Max Griffin in the third, he can do that to Court McGee. Absolutely, 100%.
He's done bouncing around weight classes, too. We just said this about Kevin last week, Holland. Stay at 170.
Yeah.
Like Chiesa, stay at 170. Just stay there, all right? This is where you need to be.
Yep. I'm with you. Chiesa the pick. I wouldn't mind a sub prop on that one. So. Paul Craig and Rodolfo Bellato. This one is this was rebooked. It was a few weeks ago. My analysis remains the same on this one. What about you?
Pretty much there with you. I do worry a little bit about Bellato's speed. What I like more than anything is the unders in this fight. I think the under 2.5 and fight not to go are really solid parlay pieces. It's just either Paul's going to get that submission in the first round, or you're going to see Bellato just marching forward and just beating the brakes off of Paul Craig on the feet. If this fight's on the feet, it's Bellato all day. Now, Paul Craig's a great submission specialist, but Bellato's no slouch on the ground. He's a black belt under the Nogueira brothers. That's a accredited black belt. That's not one that you get at Walmart, okay, with a free can of Coke. It's a real black belt. I think he's going to be okay safe. It's a matter if Paul can catch him when they're dry. We say this all the time. Once you're sweaty, it is so hard. It is so hard to lock up arm bars and triangles when you're sweaty. The only one that you can get is the rear naked choke because it actually makes it easier to get the choke in when you're sweaty. Your arm slides right underneath. So unless Paul Craig's going to be on the back of Bellato, I don't see how he gets the sub. I just don't. Yeah. So I'm with you on Bellato, but I love the fight not to go in under. That's going to be parlayed for me.
Yeah, I'd watched Paul Craig lose a striking match to Bo Nickel. And that's the thing. He's got to get on the ground. Paul Craig can't wrestle. Like he's not going to shoot and get Bellato down. I mean, if he catches him completely off balance and off guard, maybe once. But and Bellato, to me, this is tailor-made for Bellato because his biggest weakness is his striking defense. You don't have to worry about that against Paul Craig. So, I mean, Bellato's gotten rocked several times. He got rocked against Pateria, got up, and eventually got the finish. Funny, he's lost twice to the same guy, Vitor Petrino. So I would love to see that rubber match. Or not a rubber match. I guess it's a triple rematch. Yeah, trilogy, whatever. But, yeah, it's Bellato by KO. That's where I'm going with that one. Alonzo Menifield and Oumar C. Jim, what say you on this one?
I am a huge fan of C. I didn't know what we were going to get from him, but one thing I will tell you about this guy, what I love, is he sticks to the game plan. Now, of course, I'll say that. Now he'll come out this weekend and say, I'm going to strike with Alonzo Menifield. His wrestling is damn good. His control is damn good. His physicality for this division is damn good. I think he's been built the right way. He's not fighting guys that are 0-1. Like you see, 26-17, 19-8. But you're not seeing these 0-2, 0-3, 0-4 fighters that he's been fighting on the way up. So he's been built the right way. You have to battle test these guys a little bit before they get to UFC. We say it all the time. These guys get here too early. They just do. They don't go through the ups and downs, and it's detrimental to their career arc. It really is. I know you want to protect them. They don't want a lot of damage, but you have to fight better competition before you step up to the big stage. Alonzo Menifield, big ball of muscle. You can't say he's getting better. No. He's a finished product. We know exactly what Alonzo Menifield is, and I know he's strong and he's tough to take down. Julius Walker just did an interview and said, I have never felt strength in my life compared to Alonzo Menifield being able to stop me from taking him down. But C's big, man. C is a big juggernaut force. I think he's going to get Alonzo down, and once Alonzo gets tired, he's going to be a sitting duck. I could see this be a flatten him out, ground and pound TKO from back control. It's like if he gets the back and flattens him out, he's just going to punch away until a Menifield, the ref has to step in. So I like C in this spot.
Do you know why Julius Walker has never felt strength like that? Because he's fighting guys like Mike Cook. That's why he's never felt strength, like Alonzo Menifield. Come
on, man. Bevon Lewis is a good fighter.
Okay, all right. Take your word for it. Alonzo Menifield is 37, and I just think he carries too much muscle at this point because he just gets tired. If this makes it in the second round, I think it goes the distance. I think it's just two big dudes wrestling each other and up against the fence, and you'll see a couple punches here to there, but I think in the end, C is just going to be a little bit more active, a little bit fresher in the later rounds. I don't have high hopes for Alonzo Menifield. I didn't think he was that great against Julius Walker. I mean, Julius Walker's, 6-0, comes in and, Menifield barely gets the win, and that I did not look impressive. So C is the pick. I know he's a huge favorite. I don't even know what finish props are there. I mean, C's a parlay piece, if that. But other than that, I couldn't tell you C by finish or C by decision or anything like that.
No, I think you stay away from that. You're 100% right. If this fight gets halfway through round 2, it's a decision.
Yeah. Move on to Cody Brundage and Mansur Abdul Malik. What do you think about this one?
Another undefeated fighter going against an unimpressive veteran. I mean, the script is written for this card, right? We know what they want with this card. I just don't think that Cody Brundage, even though he got that win, we got to remember how bad he looked before he got his last win.
Yeah, he was almost knocked out. Some refs would have stopped it. Yeah.
By the retiring Julian Marquez. And yes, some refs would have stopped it. It was actually shocking with a Cody fight that there wasn't some kind of drama at the end, right?
Right.
It's like, wow, a normal decision. I just think Malik is going to clip him with something, and Cody's going to show his colors again. Like, he had a good mentality going into the Marquez fight, but there wasn't the type of power that's coming the other way. And Malik has his holes. We know that. We do. But Cody can't take a bruising shot and react the proper way. He just can't. If I'm Malik, I'm staying away from the back of the head when Cody is grabbing at my ankle. Just screaming that from the corner if I'm the coaches, saying elbow him in the body, stay away from the head. I think it's Malik. This is the other piece that I love not to go the distance. Absolutely love this fight not to go the distance.
Agreed.
Either Malik makes a big mistake and it's a finish for Cody, or we get that typical Cody Brundage performance.
I agree. Brundage, I will say this about Marquez. At least he didn't give up. We've watched him give up. So, he stood in there and took the punches. So I think he's going to be a little bit more game than he was in this ridiculous Jacob Malkoun fight that I will never stop talking about. One of the worst reffing decisions I've ever seen. So the Zach Reese win, kind of fluky. Like, Reese makes a mistake and tries to grab a triangle and armbar, and Brundage lefts him up, and all Reese had to do is let go, and he's fine. Instead, he goes for a ride and gets knocked out on the way down. Bo Nickel tried to strike for one round. That's why it's a round 2 finish. And then again, with the friggin' back of the head things, I will give him that. He did get
that one
elbowed.
was legit, yeah.
He was also getting his ass kicked at the time. So I thought the no contest was the right one, was the right call. I have Malik by finish, absolutely. So I know we're going chalk here. There's last week was chalky, and I started going through this list. I'm like, man, there's a lot of favorites this week that I really like. So we'll just trust the reads. They've been good so far this year. So yeah, Malik by finish is going to be the pick. Cody Garbrandt and Raoni Barcelos. Barcelos found a new doctor, found a new vitamin distributor in his last fight against Peyton Talbot. We warned you guys about that one. That was our parlay buster. That was the one that
one of Andy's best calls all time.
Best calls. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
something stunk about that one. Oh, yeah, Fade the Guy coming off the reality show.
Yes,
that was Peyton Talbot's coming off a reality dating
show.
Let's just say there were red flags on that fight. So, interested in your take, Cody Garbrandt and Raoni Barcelos. A couple guys have been doing it for a long time.
Cody Garbrandt is just a fade. He's a fade. The story about his face tattoo is great. Did you happen to hear it at
I couldn't take my eyes off of his hair. Just his
hair
overall
too.
appearance. Just his overall appearance just screams midlife crisis.
It does. It does.
Sadly,
the dude, he got a face tattoo because he was getting his armpit tattooed, and the tattoo artist was like, "We need to take a break. I know this hurts like hell." And the tattoo artist goes, "How about one on your face?" And Cody's response was, "Yeah, fuck it." Talk about bad decision making.
Oh no!
How can we trust him to make the right decisions in the cage if you get a face tattoo on a whim?
We haven't had a fade the tattoo theory in a while.
This could be one.
We have. It's been years since we've had the fade the tattoo theory. But whenever we fade a bad tattoo, if you guys don't know what the tattoo theory is, a bad tattoo tells me you got bad decision making, and if you can't get your tattoos right, I don't think you can get your fights right. And the faded tattoos. If your tattoos haven't been touched up, it means you don't have money. And you haven't been winning, or you've been blowing your money, and then I don't trust you anyway. So bad tattoos say a lot, guys. They they really do. Yeah, the hair, the tattoos does not scream I'm ready to go in there and take on Raoni Barcelos. So
Well, let's talk about the actual fight here. Do you
Okay.
think Cody Garbrandt wants to wrestle in this fight?
So we've seen him have success. He did it against Trevin Jones, but that's Trevin Jones.
It's Trevin Jones.
Yeah. So, and then we saw him. I thought this fight was pretty unfair. I thought that was a pretty bad
Love that
matchup
bet.
for him.
Love
Yeah, that was
love
an
that
easy
bet.
one, Fig by finish. But the fact is, Cody Garbrandt could not keep up with Fig on the ground. Fig in the second round, when he realized it, made it look very, very easy. So, no, I don't think Cody Garbrandt is going to be able to wrestle with Barcelos. If we get the Barcelos from the Talbot fight, Barcelos was dog-walking Talbot on the ground, just nonstop. So, no, I don't think Cody Garbrandt can get the wrestling going.
Ronnie Barcelos is a national wrestling champion in Brazil. Okay, so he's got better credentials than he does Cody. Not only that, Cody's win against Brian Kelleher, that was a retirement fight for Brian Kelleher.
Yeah.
So, like, we're coming across these fighters here on this card where they got wins, but, like, let's remember the situation. This is a Brian Kelleher last hurrah, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, too, in that fight. Cody Garbrandt's front leg was blown up like a balloon. 2
Yeah.
minutes into round one.
Yeah.
If Barcelos gets leg kicks going, that was a big problem for Cody Garbrandt. If he can get the leg kicks going, cause a little bit of damage, I think Raoni can have major success with the wrestling and the cage control against Cody Garbrandt in this fight. All he's got to do is stay clean, not get clipped in the first 3-4 minutes of this fight, and then I think he's going to pull away. Could be a good live bet spot as well. I like Barcelos pre-fight. I might like him even more 4 minutes into that fight if Cody's having some success, but you see Barcelos get the wrestling going.
Yeah, I think it's Barcelos wrestling. Don't forget, we do have the chin of Garbrandt, but I don't think Barcelos is powerful enough to really test. I don't know. Maybe he does catch him, but the path of least resistance for Barcelos is take him down and try and neutralize that speed. And you're right. Really great way to neutralize the speed is kick his leg a few times and expose that weakness. So, yeah, Barcelos. I would say Barcelos by decision would be a pretty good play in this one. So, what are the current lines on Barcelos? Hold on while I check here real quick because I thought it was.
I actually believe he can
close
touch
to
the chin.
playable. All right, so at the time of recording this, Barcelos minus 198. You're under 200. Good news is that's a really good parlay piece if you're a believer of Barcelos like we are. You don't need anything too crazy to make that a winnable play. So, I really like Barcelos in this one. He showed he's got a lot left in the tank. So, even though they didn't test what's in the tank, he's got something left in the tank.
A little high test in there.
Yeah. All right, now we can start talking some underdogs that we think are live here. Edmen Shabazian and Andre Petrosky. You've completely flipped my opinion on this one, so I'll let you go first. What do you think of this fight?
I refuse to put my money on Edmen Shabazian. I cannot trust this man. And anybody who thinks that they can trust him, I think you're cruising for a bruising here.
Unless he's
first of
fighting
all-
Dylan Budka. Unless he's fighting
He
Dylan
do it.
Budka.
Yep, that was a great bet. That's a great bet because it was Dylan Budka. This is where we talk about with situations, right?
Yes.
But the fact is, one takedown in Edmen is done. His wrestling has not gotten better. It just hasn't. And I don't know if it ever will. I really don't know if it ever will. Now, Petrosky is not the best MMA fighter, but one thing he is a very dominant grappler who's good at control time. This fight goes 1-2 ways. It stays on the feet, and Edmen gets the knockout. It goes on the ground, and Edmen gets knocked out. This is the blueprint for this guy's whole career. And at the beginning, I know we were all waiting. Like, he's young. We could see. I think the book has been written, man. I really think the book has been written on this guy. And I know he's at Extreme Couture trying to work with Sean Strickland, and they're trying to make advancements with all this stuff. But you need years. You just need years of it. If if Edmen cannot stay upright, he is done. Absolutely done. Petrosky is going to get on top of him. He's going to tire him out, and at some point, Edmen is going to present the finish to Petrosky. So I can't trust somebody where one takedown is not going to make it there. I just don't see Edmen's cardio going 15 in a wrestling match. He can't do it.
Yeah, Petrosky just has to weather the storm in the first round, and that would be the round where I would say, like, hey, this is the round where you got to wrestle. It's more important for you to wrestle and get this guy down in round 1 than it is round 2 and 3. Because once you zap his cardio, Edmen just loses his control. He loses his composure. He loses his stance. He melts. So I originally I was like, oh, Shabazian, get a knockout against Petrosky, and then I realized what he did against Rodolfo Vieira in the last one, and I'm like, oh man, if he did that against Rodolfo Vieira, he can absolutely do this against Shabazian. Yeah, Petrosky. Listen, say what you want about Petrosky. He's not exciting to bet on. Listen, he's beat Rodolfo Vieira. He beat Dylan Bugka. He beat Josh Frem. Loses to Michel Pereira, Jacob Malkoun, fights he should have, lost. That's bad for him. But, beats Mearshart, beats Wellington Turman. He beats these guys that are beatable. He's got a predictable ceiling. That's what's kind of nice about him. You kind of know what you're going to get from him. So, and Petrosky's another guy that I trust that he knows what his path to victory is. I don't think Petrosky's going to be like, I'm going to show off my chops in the first round against Shabazian. Watch this. So, yeah, we saw it with Spivak, and guys
Patchy.
you can't trust.
Ugh.
Yeah, Patchy. Yeah, guys that just abandon their game plan, and you're going, what are you doing? You got a clear path to victory, use it. And I think Petrosky knows how to use it. So, yeah, Petrosky, I think is a pretty good underdog play in that one. Moving on to the co-main event, Rose Namajunas and Miranda Maverick. Miranda Maverick. Is it a fade the baby theory? Is it a fade the baby theory when she didn't actually have the baby?
I don't know.
This is gray area. This is one of our favorite things, but it's been a minute, and they didn't. Her and her husband didn't have to go through the actual, physical toll of the pregnancy. I think it negates it. I don't think this is a clear, fade the baby theory on this one. So, what do you think?
Well, there's a men's fade the baby and a women's fade the baby. The reason why we fade the women is what their body goes through. The reason why we fade the men is because they're not sleeping.
Yep.
Their schedule's thrown off. They're doing things they're not used to doing. They're playing Mr. Mom. They're helping their wife, which is what they should be doing, right? You can't avoid it. So Miranda, I don't think really is a legitimate fade the baby because she's the breadwinner of the family. I would venture to say, and I'm not speaking for them, but knowing that there's a fight coming up, I'm sure her husband is doing most of the work. He's the fade the baby. Miranda's training and sleeping. Right?
He's asleep at his job.
Well, think about it. Miranda's not breastfeeding. She's not pumping. She's not trying to lose pounds. Her hormones aren't out of whack. It's just I don't see. I'm not saying it's a fade the baby. I can't buy into it from there.
All right. Well, stylistically, yeah.
Yeah. I think Rose is in the tail end of her career. It's just that simple. When you're at the press conference and they ask you more questions about who the champ should fight next than what you're doing, it's a bad look.
What a kick in the gut, isn't it?
But she says it with a smile on her face, and I get it. I think Rose has just lost her killer instinct. And you know what? No fault on her. She's one of the few people that has won the belt, lost it, and came back and won it again, which is something that is so hard to do. So hard to do. So all props to Rose. She's a Hall of Famer, no questions asked. But this is a young, hungry lion. These two have trained together for a substantial amount of time, which is very interesting. So, training partner theory. A lot of theories on this card. I like Miranda. I love this fight to go the distance. Yeah. Absolutely love it to go the distance. I think this is going to be a sparring match. Miranda's going to get a couple takedowns and some control time and edge out a decision against Rose. That's where I landed.
I don't know if I've seen odds this high on. Over 2.5, the books have come out with -540.
Parlay
books. Agree.
But parlay it.
Wow. Yeah, I'm with you. You know, it's interesting because you look at 13-7. Look who Rose has been fighting. Basically, she fought Tisha Pennington when they were both 2-0, and then she's fighting Randa Marcos in 2014. 2014, she's fighting Carla Esparza. I mean, she just started her career and is fighting UFC fighters. There was no just let's ease it into it. Nope, you're fighting people that all have careers in there. I agree. I think she's lost her fastball. Against Blanchfield, she gave up a couple of crucial rounds when she got taken down, and that's what Miranda Maverick can do. I think if there's 5 rounds, I might change the handicap a little bit. Maverick needs 1 takedown in 1 round to get that round because I don't see a Rose get-up game. I didn't see it against Blanchfield. And I think Miranda can control on the ground. And then if Miranda does it again in another round, that's 2 rounds banked, and Rose isn't knocking anybody out these days. So I think Miranda Maverick is the play here, especially the odds are just a little bit too good to pass up. I mean, a lot of money's come in on Miranda Maverick. She's down to plus 200. I know she was plus 275 earlier in the week, but I still think it's worth it. I just when these fighters age and they start to fall off, it goes quick. It goes really, really quick. So Miranda Maverick is the underdog. Will be the play here. Speaking of when it falls off quick. We got Kamaru Usman and Joaquin Buckley. After this, we'll do the Parlay Buster and the woulda, coulda, shoulda. Quick reminder, though, $99 gets you 30 days of MMA plays. It includes all 5% plays. I mean, this week we have a 5% and 4% up, combined with PFL and UFC. So if you haven't gotten this, jump on board ASAP. Do this before the UFC card. We have our 5% that's up in UFC. So take advantage of that. There's no reason to pay for just 1 pack or 1 play. Get the 30 days for $99. All right, Kamaru Usman and Joaquin Buckley. It's so crazy that Kamaru Usman has 24 pro fights and Buckley has 27. And yet you would just immediately go, well, Buckley's the young and up-and-comer, and Usman's the one falling off. I do think Usman's the one that's fallen off. Legendarily bad knees, and he said, look at his training videos. He's wearing these big knee sleeves. I think this is a pretty nasty matchup for Kamaru Usman, and I don't think it goes well for him. What do you think?
I don't see him getting the takedowns. I just don't think the knees can do it anymore. His manager, Ali, did an interview and was saying how Kamaru used to have, was it 3 shots the week of the fight to get to the cage? One in the shoulder and 2 in his knees. 5 days before the fight, just to be able to get to the cage. That doesn't go away. Now, he goes, he's the healthiest he's ever been. Well, no, he's not. Your level of healthy now is not your level when you're in your... No, you're not the healthiest you've ever been. Throw that out. Anytime a fighter or manager says that, it's a bold-faced lie. Because you're never going to be as healthy and as physically good as you are in your 20s and your 30s, in your early 30s. It's just a fact, okay? That's our prime as males. Those injuries, the second that things get live in the cage, that's when they rear their ugly heads. It's not so much in the training. You can limit the training. But when you get into the cage and you have to go full speed, or you take a leg kick, or he goes for a shot and he extends that shoulder and he can't get to Buckley's leg and look, Buckley stuffs him, that's where that stuff comes back around to bite you. So he could say he feels great. I'm sure he does. But once they get in that cage, the athleticism of Buckley and the movement of Buckley is going to be a real, real problem for Kamaru Usman. We also saw Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington have their fights, okay? And we just saw Buckley put an absolute beating on Colby Covington. To me, this is a slightly harder fight. Usman's got more power in his hands because Colby has none. But Buckley really just has to do the same game plan. So if we're talking about this, isn't this pretty much the same training camp?
Yeah, that's a good point.
now we're like 6 months in on the same game plan. Stuff the takedown, use your athleticism, and beat him up. Beat him up. Once he's beat up, implement your will and go from there. I'm just out on Usman. Too many injuries, too much time in the cage, too much going on outside of the cage. And if I have to hear a guy lay out their plan to another title, At this point in their career at the press
Right,
conference,
I
I'm
was-
out. I'm out. I'm out. Let's
Listen.
start with a win, not the title.
Listen, it's nice to have goals, but you're one fight away from a 4-fight losing streak, and that spells danger.
Just like be real, man. Just be real up there. Like stop.
Yeah.
I get it, but be real.
I don't have anything else to add. I think it's Buckley, and the physicality and the power is just going to be too much. And you're right, leg kicks and stuff, a few takedowns, and you know the other thing is Usman's. I mean, this is in front of a live crowd. Usman's thing about pushing people up against the fence, that crowd starts booing. The ref's not going to waste anything. Nobody in Atlanta is showing up to watch Kamaru Usman hold Buckley up against the fence. So that's going to be quick breaks if Usman even can hold him up. I don't even know if he can because Buckley's so strong and so athletic. I think Buckley's wrestling is underrated. I don't think it's great, but I think it's more than good enough to get himself out of trouble and not put himself in harm's way. So Buckley is the pick here. So. All right, let's do the Parlay Buster and the Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda. Parlay Buster is a fighter that we think everybody's going to put in their parlays, and we're here to say, be a little bit careful with that one. Which one's yours?
Edmen Shabazian.
Okay.
Yeah, I had this one picked ahead of time. It's just Mr. Untrustworthy here. I just think there's such a clear disparity on the ground, and the cardio is still a massive question if it's a wrestling match. So, A, he doesn't have the skill to wrestle. B, he doesn't have the cardio to wrestle for 15.
I'm going to try and make my job hard here, and I'm going to try and pick one that I don't necessarily totally agree with, but I think it could be dicey. I'm going to go Alonzo, Menifield, and Oumar Sy. I think both guys could be pretty low volume. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of these rounds are really close, and you're taking a big risk if you think that this fight is going to go to the distance. I mean, Menifield, like, he went the distance against Julius Walker. I thought it was terrible, but you know, he got knocked out by Mirzakhanov, but man, he took a beating and before he finally did get actually knocked out. And the knockout against Olberg, he just, I don't know what he was thinking. He tried to run across the ring and got caught right on the chin. It was one of the stupidest moves I've seen. I think Menifield maybe one last hurrah in this one. And listen, even though Julius Walker is not very good, or Sy not exactly fighting the who's who of UFC there. Tokos, who's one of the worst. And listen, Dawoon has not had a good run in the UFC as of late. So I'll say that Alonzo Menifield makes this fight pretty close. So I would be worried about putting Sy in my parlays. All right, woulda, coulda, shoulda. What are we going to be sitting there looking at the end of the night going, I can't believe we didn't bet more money on that one. What do you got?
What is Malcolm Wellmaker by knockout in round one? I'll get real specific with it.
Wow. Okay. Let's see. Round of finish.
I'm on PFL line, so I got to go back.
Okay. So Wellmaker round one is minus 105.
I will shoulda, woulda, coulda. 1,000%. Chris Moutinho walks across the cage, walks directly into the right hand of Malcolm Wellmaker. There's the triumphant return of Chris Moutinho. I'm not being facetious. I'm serious. I think Chris is such a dead man walking in this fight. He's going to march forward and get hit. You're going to tell me a guy's going to do that against a one-punch KO artist. I'm taking it. That's a great number.
All right. I'm going to go Rodolfo Bellato by KO. I do not see what Paul Craig offers. I mean, he got knocked out by Barallo. He got choked out by Brendan Allen. He did, congratulations, beat Andre Muniz, who's turned out to be one of the worst fighters at this point. Getting knocked out by Johnny Walker. The Bo Nickel. Losing a striking match to Bo Nickel, I can't emphasize how bad that really is. So, like you said, he's got to get this on the ground to have a chance, and Bellato is a finisher. I know he went the distance against Crute, but he gets the finish against Pteria, gets finished on Contender Series. I don't think it's going to take too much to knock out Paul Craig. So I'll go Rodolfo Bellato, and I apologize to you, Mr. Bubbles. All right. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Again, if you could hit the like button, it really helps us out. And again, leave a comment. Tell us who you like for this week's events. Love seeing what you guys are on. Put a prop down in the comment section or whatever you want. We like reading and responding to them. So appreciate you guys. Sadly, I do not think there's going to be a Takedown Live. It's Father's Day weekend. I'm going to be with my dad. So I'm kind of surprised UFC's doing it on Father's Day weekend, but like we said, maybe the dads are just like, no, leave me alone. I'm watching UFC this weekend. So, I probably am just, we're probably just taking Saturday night off. So we'll be back for the next one. We are doing a live show for PFL on Thursday night, which we're getting ready to go to right now. So thanks for joining us. Good luck on all your plays. Bet responsibly and take care.
Happy Father's Day, everyone.